Welcome to English Tonight, a place where learning is gentle and progress is peaceful. If you are here, it is because a part of you believes in a beautiful possibility, that you can improve your English even when you are resting, even when your eyes are closed. You are right to believe that. This is your space, your time, to let English slowly become a natural part of your thoughts. My voice will be your guide, steady, clear, and kind. You don't need to focus hard. You don't need to stay awake. Your only task is to listen, relax, and let the words wash over you. Night by night, word by word, you will build a quiet familiarity with this language. Let's begin this journey together, slowly, and with calm intention. Tonight, we explore a simple but powerful idea. Learning does not always need to be loud. It does not always need to be difficult. True, lasting learning often happens in the quiet moments, in the spaces between our busy thoughts, when we are not trying to force it. Think of how a tree grows. It does not make noise. It does not rush. It simply stands in the sunlight and the rain, and slowly, steadily, it becomes stronger. Your English can grow in the same way, with patience, with consistent, gentle exposure, especially in the calm of the night. So, let us talk about your day, your real, everyday life, because that is where language lives. It lives in the moment you wake up and see the light from your window. It lives in the steam from your morning tea. It lives in the quiet sigh you give at the end of a long day. These moments are simple, but they are full of meaning. And they are the perfect material for your sleepy time learning. When you listen to English about everyday things, your brain does not see it as a foreign lesson. It sees it as a description of your own life. This creates a powerful connection. The words stop being just sounds and start being experiences. They become linked to the feeling of your blanket, the taste of your food, the view from your window. Tonight, I will describe a very ordinary day. A day like yours, perhaps. I will use slow, simple sentences, clear, common words. There is no story to follow, no plot to remember, just a series of gentle observations. Let your mind drift with them. If you fall asleep, that is perfect. If you stay awake, just listen without pressure. This is not a test. This is an invitation to let English simply be with you. Here is a piece of a common day. The morning begins quietly. The room is soft with the first light. It is not bright yet. It is a gray, gentle light. You open your eyes. You look at the ceiling. You take a deep breath. The air in the room is cool. You feel the warmth of the blanket around you. It is a comfortable feeling, a safe feeling. You are not in a hurry. For these few moments, the world is slow. You sit up. You put your feet on the floor. The floor is solid. It is firm under your feet. You stand up. You walk to the window. You open the curtain. You look outside. What do you see? Maybe you see a street. Maybe you see trees. Maybe you see other buildings. The sky is above everything. The sky is often pale blue in the morning. Sometimes it is white with clouds. You look for a moment. You watch the world outside, quiet and still. Then, you turn away from the window. You walk to the kitchen. Your footsteps are soft. In the kitchen, you fill a glass with water. The water is clear and cool. You drink it. You feel the water travel down your throat. It is refreshing. It wakes up your body from the inside. You place the empty glass in the sink. It makes a soft sound against the ceramic. This is the very beginning of a day. Simple actions, simple senses. Seeing, feeling, drinking, moving. These are the things we all do. And these are the things we can talk about in English, with simple words. Let the words you just heard settle in your mind. The morning begins quietly. The room is soft with light. You open your eyes. You take a deep breath. You feel the warmth of the blanket. You look outside. You drink water. These are not complex sentences. They are the building blocks of conversation, the foundation of description. When you hear them repeated in a calm, slow voice as you drift toward sleep, your brain begins to accept them as natural. It begins to file them away not as English vocabulary, but as the direct experience of your own life. So tonight, as you rest, remember this. You are not just learning a language. You are allowing the language to learn you, to learn about your quiet moments, your routines, your personal world. You are giving English a key to your everyday life, and in return, it will give you the words to describe that life, effortlessly. This is the first step on a gentle path, a path of slow, steady, and deeply personal learning. Now, let us move gently through the day. Let us move to another small, yet meaningful moment. The moment of preparing a simple meal. Not a complicated recipe, but the basic, mindful act of making food for yourself. This is an act of care, and we can describe it in calm, clear English. Picture yourself in the kitchen. It is quiet. The only sound might be the soft hum of the refrigerator. You are hungry, but not in a rush. You decide to make something easy, something warm. You open a cabinet. Inside, there are boxes and packages. You see a box of pasta. The pasta is long and thin. You take the box from the shelf. You hold it in your hand. It is light. You open the box. Inside, there are many pieces of dry pasta. They are pale yellow. They feel hard and smooth. You fill a pot with water. You turn on the stove. A blue flame appears under the pot. You wait. At first, nothing happens. Then, slowly, small bubbles begin to form at the bottom of the pot. The bubbles are tiny and silver. They rise to the surface. More and more bubbles appear. Soon, the water is moving. It is bubbling gently. Steam begins to rise. The steam is warm and wet. It smells like nothing, just clean, hot water. You take a handful of the dry pasta. You carefully put it into the bubbling water. It makes a soft sound as it enters. Psst. The pasta sinks to the bottom. You take a long spoon. You stir the water slowly. The pieces of pasta move. They swirl in the hot water. They begin to soften. While the pasta cooks, you do something else. You take a tomato from the counter. The tomato is red and round. You wash it under cool water. The water runs over its smooth skin. You place it on a cutting board. You take a knife. You cut the tomato slowly. First in half, then into smaller pieces. The inside of the tomato is wet and red. There are small seeds. It smells fresh and sweet. You place the pieces of tomato into a bowl. You add a little oil. You add a little salt. You stir it gently with a spoon. Now you have a very simple sauce. It is red and bright. You look back at the pot. The pasta is no longer hard. It is soft now. It has changed in the hot water. You turn off the stove. The blue flame disappears. You pour the pasta and water into a colander in the sink. The hot water rushes out, making steam and noise. The pasta stays in the colander. It is hot and steaming. You shake the colander gently. The extra water falls away. You put the soft, warm pasta into a bowl. You add your simple tomato sauce on top. You take a fork. You mix it all together. The white pasta becomes lightly red from the tomato. You carry your bowl to the table. You sit down. You take the first bite. It is warm. It is simple. It is good. This entire process, filling the pot, watching the water boil, cutting the tomato, stirring the pasta, is a series of small, intentional actions. And each action has a word. a phrase in calm, understandable English. You open the cabinet. You take the box. The water is bubbling. You put the pasta in the water. You cut a tomato. You make a simple sauce. You turn off the stove. You pour the water out. You sit down to eat. These phrases are the language of doing, of living. When you hear them as you are falling asleep, they connect to the memory of your own hands, your own kitchen, your own hunger. They stop being foreign. They start feeling true. So let this description be a part of your rest tonight. There is no list to memorize. There is only the quiet rhythm of a common task, narrated in slow, careful English. Let your mind picture the steam, feel the warmth of the bowl, taste the simple food. In doing so, you are not just learning English. You are practicing the art of mindful attention in a new language, and that is a beautiful skill to develop, both for your English and for your peace of mind. Let us increase our understanding. Let us magnify the view inside that nocturnal library. It is not just one room with a few diligent workers. It is a vast, humming metropolis of the mind, operating on a scale and with a precision that defies imagination. And the shift change between day and night is not merely a change of staff. It is a fundamental transformation of the entire city's purpose. During the day, your brain is a global capital at peak activity. Billions of citizens, neurons, are firing, communicating, making deals, solving problems, reacting to stimuli. Streets, neural pathways, are congested with the traffic of sensory input. The sight of a word on a screen, the sound of a spoken phrase, the conscious effort to construct a sentence. It is vibrant, productive, but inherently chaotic. New construction projects, new memories, are started everywhere, often with temporary scaffolding. Information is processed in real time, but it is provisional, fragile. Then, as you begin your wind-down ritual and then slip into sleep, a city-wide alarm does not sound. Instead, a gentle, irresistible directive sweeps through the streets. The bustling, conscious capital begins to power down its busy marketplaces. The noise of voluntary thought begins to fade. And in its place, a different kind of infrastructure comes online. This is the domain of the autonomous, subconscious governance of your brain. Deep within, structures like the thalamus, the city's main sensory gate, partially close their gates. It reduces the flow of new external immigrants, new sounds, sights. This allows the internal maintenance crews to work without interruption. The hippocampus, that seahorse-shaped structure acting as the city's central temporary logistics hub, is buzzing. It is tagged with the highlights of the day, the emotional conversation, the new English phrase you struggled with, the satisfying taste of your meal. But its storage is short-term. It is a busy sorting facility, not a warehouse. Now, enter the true miracle of deep, slow-wave sleep. This is when the city's most profound architectural and logistical work begins. Think of it as the time when the entire metro system runs at full capacity, transporting goods from the temporary hub to their permanent districts. The brain generates massive, slow, synchronized electrical pulses, like powerful rhythmic trains. These slow waves act as a transport signal. They facilitate the careful movement of memory packets from the hippocampus out to the neocortex, the vast, folded suburban sprawl of the brain where long-term knowledge lives. This is the consolidation highway. And what is being transported? Not raw, unprocessed data. The hippocampus sends not just the word, but the context, the faint echo of the voice that spoke it, the slight frustration you felt, the later moment of understanding. As these parcels arrive in the neocortex, They are not dumped randomly. Specialized crews integrate them. The new English word cozy is carefully filed near the neural networks for warm, comfortable, home, and the sensory memory of your favorite blanket. The grammar pattern you heard is deconstructed, and its blueprint is added to the district responsible for language syntax. Simultaneously, another critical night shift is at work: the glymphatic system. This is the city's ultimate sanitation and recycling department. It expands dramatically during sleep, flooding the city's streets with cerebrospinal fluid. This clear fluid pulses through the very spaces between your brain cells, washing away the metabolic waste products that have accumulated during the day's furious cognitive activity. Proteins like beta amyloid, which in clutter can lead to foggy thinking. This is the deep cleanse. This is why you wake up feeling mentally refreshed. The cobwebs have been literally power washed away. Later, during REM sleep, the city's network engineers and emotional consultants take over. This is not about transport or cleaning. This is about integration and emotional processing. Here, in the dream state, connections are made that seem illogical to the waking mind. A word becomes a color. A sentence structure becomes a winding road. This is your brain stress testing new connections, weaving the newly arrived information into the broader, more creative tapestry of your existing knowledge. It also delicately detaches the raw fear or anxiety from a memory, like the embarrassment of making a mistake, leaving the linguistic lesson itself cleaner and more accessible. Now, connect this breathtaking internal symphony to your simple act of listening to slow English before bed. You are not a passive bystander. You are the city planner at dusk. By choosing calm, comprehensible, and relevant English, you are doing critical pre-sleep urban planning. You are deciding which construction projects get priority for the night's transport and integration. You are taking the fragile, temporary scaffolds built during your conscious study, the new vocabulary, the phrase you repeated, and you are fortifying them, making them the clear, labeled parcels that the hippocampal sorting facility will prioritize. You are not flooding the city with noisy, chaotic new construction, complex new grammar lectures at high volume. You are presenting neatly packaged, clearly addressed developments that fit seamlessly into existing neighborhoods. You are, in essence, providing the night crews with the best possible blueprint and materials. You are ensuring that the powerful, slow-wave trains have valuable, well-organized cargo to carry across the consolidation highway to their permanent homes. And by doing this consistently, night after night, you are not just sending parcels. You are developing entire districts in the neocortex dedicated to English that feels intuitive, familiar, and personal. You are building a thriving English quarter in the metropolis of your mind, connected by strong, well-lit boulevards to the districts of emotion, sensation, and personal experience. So when you feel that gentle tug of sleep after listening, know this: you are not switching off. You are switching over. You are handing the reins of your learning journey to the most sophisticated, powerful, and efficient learning system known to science: the nocturnal processing power of your own sleeping brain. Your role is one of wise curation and trust. Theirs is the work of silent, magnificent construction. And together, in that partnership, fluency is not learned. It is architecturally grown from the ground up in the quiet of the night. And so, we arrive at the pinnacle of this nocturnal cycle, the moment of awakening. This is not a simple return to the bustling capital of daytime consciousness. It is the grand reopening of a city that has been fundamentally transformed, reorganized, and cleansed in the night. When you wake, the gates of the thalamus swing open once more. sensory data begins to stream in, but now it flows into a different metropolis. The temporary logistical chaos of yesterday's hippocampus has been largely cleared. The frantic, half-finished construction sites from your conscious study have been either demolished as irrelevant or, more importantly, transformed into permanent, stable structures in the neocortical suburbs. Here is the tangible result of your intelligent partnership with sleep. You do not wake up knowing the English you heard in a textbook sense. Instead, you wake up into a world that feels subtly translated. You look at your blanket in the morning light, and the word cozy is not a foreign vocabulary item you search for. It is the label already attached to the sensation, waiting on the tip of your mind, because it was integrated into the sensory comfort district overnight. You go to make your tea, and the process, filling the kettle, waiting for the boil, pouring the hot water, feels narratable. The phrases have been woven into the procedural memory of the action itself. The English is not separate from the doing. It has become the silent soundtrack of the deed. This is the emergence of intuition. Intuition is not magic. It is the seamless access to deeply integrated, cross-referenced knowledge. It is the ability of your brain's mayor, your conscious mind, to query the newly organized city and receive an immediate multi-departmental report. When you need to express an idea, it no longer sends a frantic search party into a chaotic archive. It sends a request to the well-governed language quarter, which now has efficient diplomatic ties to the emotional districts and sensory zones. The result is a thought that feels whole, a phrase that feels right, not because you analyze the grammar, but because the networked city of your mind confirms it fits the existing infrastructure. Your daytime practice, the active speaking, writing, and studying, now has fertile ground. Before, you were trying to plant seeds on hard, untilled soil, battling against the weeds of interference and exhaustion. Now, you are planting in soil that has been plowed, enriched, and carefully organized by the night. Each conscious effort at learning finds a prepared place to root. The struggle lessens. The sense of clicking increases. Therefore, the final, most crucial instruction is this: trust the dusk and honor the dawn. At dusk, your role is that of the wise curator. With gentle intention, select the night seeds, the slow, clear, emotionally resonant English that reflects the life you live or wish to live. Deliver these seeds to the threshold of sleep with an attitude of release, not grasping. You are not cramming. You are depositing treasure maps for the night crew to follow. At dawn, your role is that of the explorer in a renewed land. Do not immediately claw for proof. Instead, move gently through your morning. Be observant. Notice if a word surfaces. Feel if a phrase comes to mind with less friction. Engage in your first, simple English interactions of the day, not as a test, but as a survey of the new internal landscape. Water the seeds that were planted by using them. Say the simple phrases out loud. Write a sentence in your journal. This active use in the waking light signals to the brain that these newly consolidated structures are important and should have their access roads maintained. This is the virtuous cycle of learning aligned with your biology. Day feeds night with focused material. Night feeds day with organized clarity. Day feeds night again with refined questions and new experiences. And round it goes, each cycle building a stronger, more intuitive, and more deeply personal command of the English language. You are not just a learner. You are the governor of the most complex system imaginable, learning to work in harmony with its natural, powerful rhythms. The path to fluency is not a straight line drawn through force of will. It is a spiral, widening and deepening with each rotation of the earth, each cycle of conscious effort, and subconscious integration. You sleep. You learn. You rise. Repeat. But what about the nights when nothing seems to happen? The nights when you listen faithfully, yet wake up feeling the same, with no new English words waiting for you? This is a crucial moment to understand. It is in these nights that the deepest work is often done, work that is entirely invisible to your conscious mind. Progress in sleep learning is not linear. It does not present itself with a neat list of new words each morning. Its progress is geological, not transactional. Think of a vast underground network of roots. When you plant a seed, you do not see growth for days, sometimes weeks. The action is all beneath the surface. The seed absorbs water. It cracks open. It sends a tiny, fragile root downward, feeling its way in the dark soil. To the observer above ground, nothing has changed. But the essential, foundational work is happening. Your brain operates in a similar fashion. Some nights, the night crew is not building flashy new structures on the surface. They are doing foundational engineering. They are strengthening the connections between areas that already exist. They are widening neural pathways, making the traffic of information flow more smoothly. They are troubleshooting, finding where a connection is weak and reinforcing it. On these nights, you might not acquire a new word. Instead, you are acquiring fluency with the words you already have. You are making the known language more accessible, more automatic, less taxing to retrieve. This is a monumental task, but it offers no immediate trophy. Its evidence appears later, in moments of unplanned speech, when a sentence forms more quickly than you expected, or when you understand a spoken phrase without mentally translating it. Therefore, your measure of success must shift. Do not measure by the conscious recall of new vocabulary upon waking. Measure by the gradual reduction of effort. Measure by the increasing sense of familiarity when you hear English during the day. Measure by the slight quickening of your comprehension, the diminishing of that internal pause between hearing and understanding. Your commitment on these quiet nights is perhaps the most powerful act of trust. It is the gardener watering the soil even when no sprout is visible, confident in the unseen process. By maintaining your gentle routine, the soft audio, the release into sleep, you are telling your brain that this work is a priority, regardless of the immediate visible yield. You are maintaining the conditions for growth, and the growth will come on its own schedule, in its own form. So tonight, and every night, release your expectations. Your job is not to force the growth. Your job is to provide the consistent, nurturing conditions. Provide the clear, calm English. Provide the peaceful transition into sleep. Provide the trust. And then, let go. The silent, intelligent systems within you will handle the rest. They will decide if tonight is for laying new foundations, for reinforcing old structures, or for creating a new, elegant connection between a word and a feeling. This is the ultimate surrender in learning. It is not passive, it is profoundly active in its trust. You are actively choosing to cooperate with your own nature, to align your efforts with the tide of your biology, rather than fighting against it with exhausting conscious strain. When you embrace this, the entire relationship with learning English transforms. It stops being a battle against a foreign code. It becomes a collaboration with your own magnificent mind. The language ceases to be an external object you must conquer and starts becoming an internal landscape you are gently, patiently, and lovingly cultivating from within, with every restful night you give yourself. This brings us to a beautiful and essential truth. The most profound language acquisition is not about adding more, but about removing barriers. Your sleep learning journey is, in many ways, a process of silent erosion. Imagine a large, smooth stone, the stone of your hesitation, your self-doubt, your feeling that English is outside of you. For years, perhaps, this stone has sat in the stream of your intentions, blocking the clear flow of expression. Daytime study is like striking the stone with a tool. It can chip away at it. It can create sparks. It is active, effortful, and you see the direct impact of each strike. But sleep learning is the constant, gentle, persistent flow of water over that same stone. You do not see the water acting. In a single night, no change is visible. But night after night, the soft, repetitive caress of familiar words, of calm sentences, of English that feels like a friend and not a judge, begins to wear away at the stone. It smooths the rough edges of fear. It slowly, imperceptibly, reduces the stone's size. It is not aggressive. It is patient. And one day, you find the stream of your thoughts is flowing more freely. The obstacle is not gone, but it is smaller, smoother, less obstructive. You did not break it with force. You softened it with consistency. This is why the content you choose is so vital. It must be water, not a hammer. It must be a soothing flow, not a barrage. Listening to stressful news, complex debates, or vocabulary lists recited with urgency is like throwing pebbles into the stream. It agitates the water. It clouds it. It does not contribute to the gentle, erosive process, but a slow description of a peaceful walk, a kind affirmation about your ability, a simple recounting of a daily routine. This is clear, pure water. It flows without sediment. It does the work of connection and softening without your conscious mind even being aware of the change. Your brain, in its sleep, is not just filing words. It is also metabolizing emotion. It is detaching the feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, and frustration that often surround the language learning process for adults. When you listen to English narrated with calmness and kindness, you are giving your sleeping mind a new emotional template. You are showing it, see, English can feel like this. It can sound like safety. It can be associated with rest, not struggle. Night by night, you are not just learning English. You are unlearning the fear of English. You are replacing a narrative of difficulty with a subconscious narrative of gentle exposure and peaceful coexistence. The language begins to shed its association with classroom pressure and becomes associated with the sanctuary of your own bed, the comfort of your blanket, the private world of your dreams. So, when you question if this is working, ask yourself not only, do I remember new words, but also, does English feel less foreign? Does the sound of it cause less tension in my body? Does the idea of speaking it spark a little less dread and a little more curiosity? These shifts in feeling are the true markers of progress. They are the water wearing down the stone. They are the silent, emotional groundwork upon which fluent speech is ultimately built. You are engaging in a form of linguistic therapy, administered by your own voice in the dark. You are healing the relationship between you and this language. And from that healed relationship, from that place of reduced resistance, true, effortless expression will eventually spring. Trust the water. Trust the soft, nightly flow. Your conscious mind may crave the visible chip in the stone, the proof of a strike. But have faith in the slower, deeper, more transformative power of the current. It is working on your behalf, in the silence, reshaping the landscape of your mind to let the language flow through. And then, one ordinary day, it happens. You are not studying. You are not listening to a lesson. You are simply living. Perhaps you are stirring your coffee, watching the swirl of milk blend into the dark liquid, and the thought arises, clear and complete. This is perfect. Not in your native language, but in English. It arrives without summons, without translation. It is not a practiced phrase from a lesson. It is your own genuine sentiment, wearing English words as naturally as your own skin. This is the moment of harvest. This is the first green sprout breaking through the soil after the unseen work of the roots. The thought feels organic, authentic, and yours. This is the concrete result of the silent erosion, the nocturnal consolidation, the emotional recalibration. Your brain has moved the language from the foreign file to the personal file. It is now a tool for your internal monologue, not just for external communication. This transition from passive understanding to active, spontaneous generation is the holy grail of language learning. And sleep learning cultivates the perfect conditions for it. Why? Because the language was absorbed in a state identical to the one in which it now emerges, a state of unforced, spontaneous being. You didn't learn it at a desk with your shoulders tense. You absorbed it in a bed with your body soft. Therefore, it returns to you not in the desk mode of effortful recall, but in the life mode of effortless expression. The grammar of such a spontaneous thought is often flawless, not because you consciously applied rules, but because the pattern was integrated as a whole, sensory unit. The pronunciation in your mind's ear is clear because it is the echo of the calm, correct voice you listen to. The emotion is attached because the words were originally paired with feelings of safety and repose. This is how you begin to think in English. It starts with these fragments, these complete, simple, truthful utterances that bubble up from the depths where your sleeping mind did its work. I am tired. That cloud is beautiful. I don't want to go out. There is no fanfare. There is no conscious switch being flipped. It is a quiet integration so deep that the language source becomes irrelevant. Only the meaning remains. You have not just learned English, you have begun to use it to relate to yourself. This is a profound intimacy with the language. Your role now is to welcome these fragments. Do not analyze them. Do not question, is the grammar right? Just notice them with a soft internal smile. Acknowledge them as the gifts they are, proof of the journey happening beneath the surface. Each one is a confirmation that the roots are spreading, the water is flowing, the stone has been worn away a little more. And with this welcome, you encourage more. Your conscious mind, by not rejecting or over-scrutinizing these spontaneous thoughts, signals to the subconscious that this integration is good, safe, and desired. It opens the gate wider. The fragments become more frequent. They become longer. They begin to connect. The path from understanding a language to inhabiting it is crossed not by a leap of effort, but by 1,000 such quiet, unforced steps, each one born in the silent classroom of the night and revealed in the daylight of your ordinary, beautiful life. These fragments of thought are the most valuable seeds you will ever receive. They are the living proof that English has taken root within you. Now, your daytime practice undergoes a subtle but powerful shift. It is no longer just about input, forcing knowledge in. It becomes about nurturing output, tending to what is naturally growing. When you hear that spontaneous inner phrase, "This coffee is good," your new practice is to give it a breath, to voice it, not to practice English, but to acknowledge a truth that has chosen English as its form. Whisper it to yourself. Say it to the room. This act is not repetition. It is ratification. You are telling your neural networks, this pathway is correct. This voice is mine. Strengthen this. This is where sleep learning and waking life become an inseparable dance. The night provides the raw, unforced material. the patterns, the sounds, the emotional tone. The day provides the stage for its gentle performance. You are not constructing sentences from a manual anymore. You are auditioning phrases that have emerged from your own subconscious workshop, seeing how they feel in the air, on your tongue. You may start to notice a new kind of ease in simple conversations. The answer to, "How are you?" might float up as, "I'm quite tired, but it's a good day," before you've had time to nervously assemble the parts. This is not memorized, this is accessed. It's pulled from the well of integrated language, not from the frantic workbench of translation. This phase requires a new kind of courage, the courage to be simple, to trust that the basic, clear sentences that grew in the dark are more powerful than the complex, hesitant ones you strain to build in the light. The goal ceases to be sounding impressive and becomes being authentic. Your English personality begins to coalesce, not as a copy of a teacher or a textbook character, but as you, expressed through this other linguistic code. Doubt will still visit. There will be days the stream feels blocked again. On those days, your nightly listening is not a study session. It is a homecoming. It is returning to the source, to the gentle voice, to the slow descriptions. It is re-establishing the connection, recalibrating the emotional tone, reminding your brain of the peaceful relationship you are building with this language. It is less about learning new things and more about maintaining the bond, keeping the water flowing over the stone. So continue, night after night, with the faith of a gardener who knows growth is happening underground. Celebrate the fragile green shoots of spontaneous thought when they appear. Water them with your voice in the daylight. And understand that fluency is not a distant fortress to be stormed. It is a landscape you are patiently, sleep by sleep, thought by thought, bringing to life within yourself. You are not going to English. English is coming to you, in your quiet moments, and making itself at home. This long-term journey, this nightly collaboration with your own mind, teaches you a deeper lesson about mastery itself. We often imagine mastery as a towering peak, a summit we strive for through sheer exertion. But what if true mastery, especially of something as organic as language, is not a peak to be scaled, but a climate to be inhabited? Think of a rainforest. It is not built in a day. First, there is soil, a foundation of basic exposure. Then, seeds, words and phrases, are planted through your initial studies. The rain, your consistent, gentle listening, falls night after night. Nothing may seem to happen for a very long time. The process is invisible, subterranean. Mycelial networks of understanding spread silently below the surface. Then, life sprouts. A fern of comprehension here, a sapling of a correct sentence there. It is not yet a forest, but the ecosystem has begun. Your spontaneous thoughts are these first sprouts. You cannot force a rainforest to grow faster by pulling on the sprouts. You can only maintain the climate, the consistent humidity of exposure, the gentle warmth of your interest, the fertile darkness of sleep where decomposition of old mistakes and new growth intertwine. Your nightly practice is the maintenance of this internal climate. It is not a dramatic act of construction. It is a faithful act of stewardship. You are ensuring the rain falls every single night. Some nights it is a soft drizzle of familiar stories. Other nights, a steady shower of new, simple phrases. This constancy is what creates the conditions for a thriving, self-sustaining linguistic ecosystem within you. Within this ecosystem, the language stops being a separate, mechanical tool. It becomes a living layer of your consciousness. Just as a musician begins to hear music in the rhythm of train wheels, or a painter sees composition in the shadows on a wall, you will begin to feel English in the fabric of your day. The rhythm of a sentence will please you. The precise word for a feeling will arrive with satisfaction. You will not just communicate, you will appreciate the texture and shape of the communication itself. This is the climate of mastery. It is characterized not by the absence of error, but by the presence of a deep relational familiarity. Mistakes become like weather events in your rainforest. A fallen branch, a period of dry soil. They are not catastrophes that destroy the ecosystem. They are part of its cycle, its learning. They are integrated and become part of the landscape's history. So, you must release the calendar. Do not measure your journey in weeks or months, measured against someone else's path. Measure it in the increasing richness of your internal climate. Is the soil of your understanding becoming deeper, richer? Are more varieties of thought beginning to grow? Is the ecosystem becoming more resilient, able to weather moments of hesitation or forgetfulness without collapsing? When you lie down tonight, see yourself not as a student going to a lesson, but as a gardener walking into a cherished greenhouse, a conservator maintaining a perfect, gentle rain. You are tending the climate of your own fluency. With each night's listening, you are preserving the humidity, the temperature, the conditions for lush, unforced growth. The forest does not hustle. It grows. It integrates. It becomes complex and beautiful over time, through seasons of visible growth and seasons of silent root work. Your English is the same. You are growing a forest in your mind, one peaceful night at a time. And a forest, once established, is a home for life. This transformation leads you to the most subtle and powerful frontier, the world of your dreams. For a long time, your dreams may have unfolded in the native language of your heart, the soundtrack of your deepest self. But as you faithfully maintain the climate of English in your sleeping mind, something miraculous may begin to occur. The language starts to cross the threshold. At first, it might be just a word, a recognizable English label floating through a dream scene. Then, perhaps, a line of dialogue spoken by a dream character. And then, one night, you may find yourself thinking within the dream in clear, coherent English. This is not you practicing. This is the language descending to the very core of your cognitive processing, becoming one of the foundational codes of your unconscious. When you dream in a language, you have achieved a profound integration. The language is no longer a costume you put on. It has become part of the fabric of your being. In dreams, we are our most authentic, unfiltered selves. We process emotions, fears, hopes, and memories in their raw form. For English to enter this sanctum means it is now trusted with your truth. It is no longer separate from your identity. This experience is the ultimate confirmation that your sleep learning has moved far beyond memory consolidation. It is now participating in identity synthesis. You are not just learning to speak English. You are, on a very deep level, allowing a new dimension of yourself to be expressed through English. The voice in the audio, the calm narrator of your nightly sessions, has become an inner voice, a permissible part of your internal world. This can feel startling, even bizarre at first. You may wake up and need a moment to reorient, to remember which language is which. Treasure this disorientation. It is a sign of deep success. It means the border between your native self and your English learning self has become porous, is softening, is beginning to dissolve. From this point forward, your relationship with English loses its last remnants of foreignness. Studying it feels less like learning about an external subject, and more like exploring an expanded capacity within yourself. The anxiety of performance diminishes greatly, Because how can you perform something that is now part of your dreaming self? It is simply you. Therefore, let your nightly practice be an invitation, not just for learning, but for dreaming. As you listen to the slow descriptions of peaceful scenes, of daily routines, of kind affirmations, you are essentially sowing the seeds for your dreaming mind to use. You are providing the palette from which your subconscious can paint its nightly stories. Do not crave this outcome, but be open to its possibility. Whether it happens vividly or in subtle fragments, know that every night you spend listening in that twilight state, you are building a bridge between your conscious learning and your unconscious mind. You are granting English permission to enter the most private and creative studio you possess. And when it does, you will understand that fluency was never about perfect grammar or accentless pronunciation. It was about this: the moment the language leaves the page and the audio file and becomes a silent, living partner in the mysterious, beautiful, and utterly personal theater of your own sleeping mind. You have given it a home not just in your memory, but in your dreams. And what lives in our dreams lives in us forever. With this deep integration comes a subtle but profound shift in how you perceive time and progress. The world often teaches us to see time linearly, a straight road from beginner to fluent, marked by milestones and tests. But your journey through sleep learning reveals a different truth. Time in learning is cyclical, like the seasons in your internal rainforest. There are seasons of visible, vibrant growth. The spring, where new vocabulary blooms easily, and conversations feel effortless. These are the rewarding times that fuel your motivation. But there must also be autumn and winter seasons. These are the periods where progress seems to halt, where things once known feel foggy, where listening at night might feel like a routine rather than a revelation. The linear mind panics at this, seeing it as failure or backsliding. But the cyclical understanding, nurtured by your patient nightly practice, knows this is essential. Autumn is not death. It is the release of what is no longer needed. The clumsy phrasing, the inefficient mental pathways, the residual fear. It is a shedding. Winter is not barrenness. It is consolidation and rest. It is the quiet period where the deep roots of your understanding grow stronger unseen, where the neural networks simplify and streamline beneath the surface of conscious thought. Your nightly ritual is what sustains you through all these seasons. In spring, it is a celebration of the growth. In summer, it provides gentle rain for sustained flourishing. In autumn, it is a comforting constant as old leaves fall. In winter, it is the steady, warm pulse that protects the roots from frost, reminding the dormant system that life and learning are still present, merely waiting for the next turn of the cycle. This perspective grants you immense patience and compassion for yourself. On a difficult day, when speaking feels hard, you can think, this is an internal autumn. I am shedding something old. My mind is preparing for a new kind of growth. You do not force it. You trust the cycle. You maintain the climate with your nightly listening, knowing it is the single most important thing you can do to ensure the health of the entire ecosystem, regardless of the season above ground. This is how you defeat the tyranny of the language plateau. The plateau is merely a winter season viewed through a linear lens. From the cyclical view, it is a necessary, fertile period of integration. By continuing your sleep practice through it, you are not fruitlessly pushing against a wall. You are faithfully tending the soil, ensuring that when the internal conditions are right, the next surge of growth will be even richer and more stable than the last. So you continue, night after night, season after season. You are not walking a straight line. You are moving in an ascending spiral. Each cycle, Each pass through seasons of growth, release, and rest leaves you at a slightly higher level of integration, of ease, of depth. The same core phrases you heard in your first week's return, but now you hear them not as vocabulary, but as old friends, layered with the meaning of all the cycles they have passed through with you. You are learning to dance with time, not race against it. And your partner in this dance is the gentle, persistent, ever-present voice of your chosen English, meeting you in the dark, cycle after cycle, until the distinction between learning and being, between practice and life, dissolves completely. You are simply living in a more expansive world, with a more expansive voice. This cyclical dance leads you to a quiet revelation about the nature of meaning itself. When you first began, words had definitions. Comfort was a dictionary entry, a synonym for coziness. But after countless nights of hearing, "You are safe, you are comfortable, you are at peace," as you drifted into sleep, the word becomes the feeling, the neural pathway for the sound comfort, and the physiological state of relaxation become so intertwined that they are nearly one. This is the move from lexical meaning to embodied meaning. Sleep learning, in its gentle, repetitive way, is a masterclass in embodiment. It bypasses the intellectual gatekeeper of your waking mind and delivers language directly to the places in your brain that process sensation, emotion, and visceral experience. Think of the word steady. Learned by day, it might mean stable, unchanging. But learned by night, through a calm voice describing a steady breath, a steady heart, a steady pace of progress, the word absorbs the somatic sensation of steadiness. It gains weight, a tactile quality. Later, when you tell yourself, "Stay steady," it is not just an instruction. It is a somatic anchor, a tiny trigger for a physical state of calm. This is why the language you choose for sleep must be positive, must be kind, must be true. You are not just building vocabulary, you are building neural landscapes. You are creating direct highways between English words and your core states of being. If you listen to stressful English, you build highways to anxiety. If you listen to calm, affirmative English, you build highways to peace, and you make English itself the signpost for that peace. Your inner voice, the one that narrates your life, begins to transform. For many learners, the inner critic speaks in their native tongue, pointing out flaws and mistakes. But what if you can cultivate a new inner voice in English? A voice that arrived not through criticism, but through nightly companionship. A voice that from its very origin was associated with rest, acceptance, and slow, steady progress. This new English inner voice can become a sanctuary. When the old critical voice rises in your native language, you can consciously shift to this other channel, to the voice of the calm narrator. You can consciously think, in English, "It is okay. I am learning. I am progressing at my own pace." This isn't just positive thinking, it is accessing an entirely different neural network, one wired from the start for kindness. You are not fighting the old voice with logic. You are switching to a different, more supportive system within your own mind. In this way, sleep learning becomes more than language acquisition. It becomes a form of cognitive and emotional repatterning. You are using the gateway of sleep to install a benevolent, English-speaking presence into the very heart of your consciousness. This presence is not a foreigner. It is you, a version of you that is patient, that observes without judgment, that describes the world with simple clarity. So, as you continue, see your nightly audio not as a lesson, but as a tuning fork. You are tuning the very frequency of your mind. You are aligning a part of your consciousness to the pitch of clarity calm, and compassion, and you are choosing for that pitch to resonate in the language you wish to master. With every night, you are not just memorizing. You are calibrating. You are setting the internal tone for the person you are becoming, a person who can think, feel, dream, and soothe themselves in a language that once felt distant, but now feels, increasingly, like home. And so, we arrive at the gentle conclusion of our time together tonight. Not an end to the journey, but the completion of a single peaceful rotation. A full cycle of trust. We began with a simple question. What if you could learn while you sleep? And we discovered it was not about passive magic, but about intelligent partnership. A partnership with the most powerful, creative, and restorative force within you, your own sleeping mind. You have learned that this path is not one of force, but of flow, not of cramming, but of curation. You are the gardener of your mind, providing the consistent, gentle rain of calm English so that the seeds of understanding may grow deep roots in fertile soil. You have learned to see progress not as a straight line, but as the turning of seasons, each phase of growth, release, and quiet consolidation being essential to the health of the whole. You have discovered that this practice does more than teach you words. It transforms your relationship with the language. It wears away the stone of hesitation with the soft, persistent water of repetition. It builds a new inner voice, one of kindness and clarity, that speaks to you in English. It invites the language into your dreams, making it a trusted citizen of your most private self. It moves meaning from the page into your body, until the word for calm actually makes you feel calm. So now, as this session comes to a close, take this final understanding with you into the silence. You are not just a student of English. You are the architect of your own linguistic landscape. You are the composer of your internal voice. Every night you choose to listen, you are not studying. You are building a home for this language within yourself. A home built of neural pathways, emotional connections, and peaceful associations. Therefore, let your practice be light. Let it be a release, not a burden. You have done the work of setting the direction. You have chosen the materials of peace and simplicity. Now, you can surrender to the process. Your brain knows what to do. It has been waiting for this clear, consistent signal. It is ready to organize, connect, and integrate. It is ready to weave English into the fabric of your being while you rest. So as you drift from listening into sleeping, let go of all goals. Let go of all expectations. Simply know that you are in partnership with an incredible intelligence within you. You have provided the gentle instruction. Now, allow the learning to happen. Trust the night. Trust the silence. Trust the quiet, magnificent work that continues behind the scenes of your awareness. You are learning English. Not through strain, but through synergy. Not through struggle, but through sleep. And tomorrow, you will wake up, not necessarily with new words on your tongue, but with a mind that has become, in ways both subtle and profound, more familiar with the sound, the rhythm, and the feeling of English. More at home within it. Thank you for allowing this voice to be part of your journey tonight. The path continues. The growth continues. Even now, as silence returns, the integration begins. Sleep well. Learn well. Grow gently. Good night.